welcome to my presentation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Maybe I should start with some words about me and myself. I am lucky to be a participant of this year's Summer of Code. So Accelera, I think, started even this year to do Summer of Codes, where students can participate in different projects and work together with the different SystemC working groups. And yeah, I'm part of the CCI working group. And today I want to present to you a little bit about what my specific project is about. So yeah, first of all, I want to give you a quick overview of what exactly CCI is. And then I'm going to delve into the details of the Summer of Code project. I'm going to talk a little bit about my work that I've done as part of this project, and also a little bit about what I'm currently working on. So SystemC CCI. CCI is short for Configuration, Control, and Inspection. And it's an Accelera standard that tries to enhance the interoperability of SystemC models in the SystemC ecosystem. So it stems from the problem that, as we all know, virtual platforms are an assortment of different models, and these models can come from different vendors. These vendors may decide to make their models only partially available in a proprietary form, so the user cannot really know the specific implementation details, but they may want to have the opportunity to interact with them somehow. So the goal of SystemC CCI is to create a standardized way to configure, control, and inspect these modules, which are essentially black boxes. So the first part of SystemC CCI is the configuration aspect. Here, the goal is the parameterization of SystemC modules. So maybe a user wants to configure some aspects of a simulation without either knowing the concrete details of a module or having to recompile the whole simulation and again. It works like this. Let me open the laser pointer. So here we have our SystemC module, which owns some parameters. These parameters will be registered at a global broker. And this broker acts as a bridge between the user and the simulation itself. So the user later can request a parameter handler from the broker. And with this handler, he or she is possible to check up on some parameters to configure them. And it's also possible to create some callbacks on specific events. This part of the CCI library is quite progressed. So right now it is already standardized at Accelera, and there's also an implementation ready. The next part of the CCI library is the inspection part. Here the goal is to give opportunity to inspect SystemC modules. So for example, one wants to peek and poke specific memory models. The structure again is similar to the configuration part. So once again, we have a SystemC module, which owns an inspection item. This inspection item must be registered again at a global interface, it's called here. And this interface acts again as a bridge between the simulation user and the simulation itself. So the user can use the discovery interface to look up every module, to look up every inspection item of a module, and from there can either peek into specific data of the module and also modify it with the poke command. This part of the library is a little bit progressed, so it is not standardized yet, but the CCI working group made an experimental implementation already available, which is in a GitHub playground. I heard some background voices. Yeah, anyways. Yeah, the last aspect of CCI is the control part. Here, the goal is to give some control to the user to simulation models. So one example that has been extensively discussed in the working group meetings is the capability to dump the context of a frame buffer model into a bitmap, for example, so that a user can inspect or share the contents of the frame buffer. This part of the library is not quite progressed yet, so it's not standardized, and there's also no implementation available. And the working group is still discussing what kind of use cases and what kind of requirements are needed for this part. So onto the Summer of Code project. The project I have chosen is to create a control interface for the CCI library so that users later can interact with simulation with an interactive API, let it be a terminal application or even a web app via a REST API. So for example, the user wants to dump the contents of the frame buffer model. So it calls the execute command, and the frame buffer module then dumps its contents into a file. Use case here is to ease the user in making the simulation more debuggable, more inspectable, and also more controllable. So what have I done right now? First, I've started with some, I would say, general maintenance onto the main repository of CCI. So I started with fixing the continuous integration so that the CCI library can be thoroughly checked. So finally, the check marks on GitHub are green, and everybody's happy because the library gets tested. I further try to extend this test, so not only are build tests done, but also the actual output of the library gets tested with golden reference files. Yeah, and lastly, I tackled some minor issues that I found on the repository. For example, there were some issues regarding newer versions of C++. During this, I find some issues with SystemC. The first one is a compatibility issue with a specific version on Windows and Mac, where this version introduced a change in the coroutine of the SystemC threads, marking them as non-executable on Linux. This is only really sensible on Windows and Mac, so this marking is therefore guarded by some precompiler directives. But fortunately, in this version, the precompiler directives were not called for the specific file, so the builds on Windows and Macs unfortunately fail. This was later fixed in SystemC 3.0.0. And yes, the second issue I want to talk about is again regarding the CI. So CCI wants to be compatible with a variety of platforms, one of them being MinW GCC on Windows, where the library is building, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, the tests are failing. So the tests segfault in the CI, but weirdly enough, only when they are not run interactively. So when trying to connect to a CI session and running them there from the session, they work. Running them twice, meaning in the script doubling the execution line, make them work for whatever reason. And unfortunately, I could not reproduce this problem on my local machine, which means that there's no real solution to this problem. For now, the workaround is to just skip testing for this platform. So currently, I'm working on integrating the experimental inspection implementation into the main repository. So the working group decided that it is ready enough to be merged back from the playground repository. Before this can be done, a few things had to be done. So first of all, this part of the library has, of course, to be tested as well. So some test cases must be created. And of course, it's also useful to know how to use the library. So a few examples would also be quite helpful. These can also be used later by various vendors to use them as entry points. And as we have seen in the beginning of the slides, the components, the inspection configuration parts do share some similarities. So it would also be nice to evaluate if it is possible to reuse some parts of the configuration part of the library, which is already ready. Yeah, the second thing I'm working on right now is regarding the CCI control part of the library. So right now I'm coming up with a proposal on how to design an interface. So I think in the last working group meeting, we've extensively discussed how it should look, what kind of parameters this control item will need, what kind of return types, stuff like that. And right now it looks like this, similarly to the inspection and to the configuration part. We once again have our SystemC module, which owns a control item. And this item owns some commands. These commands implement the desired behavior. So, for example, the frame buffer dumping functionality. And the control item then registers to, again, a global discovery interface. It's available commands. And from there, the user can look up the control items and then execute the commands if you want. Once again, here it is also nice to evaluate whether it would be possible to merge some components with already existing components. Yeah, with that, I'm already concluding my short presentation. And thanks again for your attention. And are there any questions?
Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for keeping it in time as well. Can I just point out to everybody, this is the first year that we've been running the Summer of Code. And if you know of people or you have students or whatever that would like to participate next year, then please be in touch. We hope to run this every year, especially since this year, particularly with Antonius, has been such a success. Are there questions for Antonius? Go ahead, Philo.
Yeah, so I had a question. You were showing that CCI under MinGW is failing. Does this mean you have on the GitHub also a MinGW branch testing, or which CI system did you mean there?
Yeah, it is the CCI part that's been tested. I'm not quite sure if it's also done on SystemC. I have to look that up.
No, my question was the GitHub Actions setup that you have for CCI also supports MinGW.
It should support it, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not working, but it should support it.
Okay. Yeah, it's failing at the moment, but you have a run because yes, this will be one of the topics that we are currently in the working group discussing. So maybe I will contact you later on about this.
Yeah. Yes, please. Maybe I should share my email. Then I think it's not.
I think Martin has the contact here to you, so we can find you. So that's, yep.
Alrighty.